We are live, Proline TV, talking NASCAR with one more regular season race to go before the playoffs begin in 2025. CJ Radoon joining us here, of course, from rotowire.com. And CJ, your last show before you take your world tour trip for a few weeks. Next week, though, remember last week we talked about, we weren't sure what schedule was going to look like, but next week, we are going to, I will be doing a playoff preview show, but CJ and I are going to record his picks going through rounds 12, 8, and of course, the round of 4, get his championship pick and his sleepers. So we're going to go through all that, and we'll have that available on tape for the show. Same time next week. It'll just be me. And then I guess the week after that, I'll have to think of something myself. So anyway, how's it going, CJ?
It is going well. Sorry to leave you hanging for a couple of weeks. I'll be back in time for the second race, but just not in time to do a preview of it.
Yeah, it's only the playoffs. But Darlington, you'll miss, but you said you were going to be back for Illinois. Wow, lucky you.
I know Darlington is one of my favorites too. I'm bummed to be missing it, and especially this one, the Southern 500, that Labor Day weekend one is always good, but hey, I don't set the World Major Marathon calendar, so unfortunately it clashes this year. But I have a feeling I'm probably not going to be doing this too many more years to go, so maybe it's just done. We'll see.
All right, so we've got the Daytona race, and look, we've checked the weather. There's going to be thunderstorms, but that's typical. That's the thing that we just did not need to see was some sort of 3-day rain pattern over the state. So I think we got as expected a forecast as we're going to get, and the rest is just luck regarding whether or not there'll be whether it's one or maybe even multiple thunderstorms that come through the area. Hopefully we won't get unlucky with just the wrong time of the day, the wrong time of the week, where, thunderstorms just come one after another. If that happens, we could definitely be looking at a Sunday race. And if that happens, there will be no post-race show right here on this channel. But hopefully, fingers crossed, even if there's one delay, it won't be hopefully too late in the morning. But make sure to check in, subscribe. Don't forget, that's the best way to make sure you don't forget, by subscribing and hitting the notifications, so you'll get a little reminder that at some point we're going to figure it out. I think. What time does the race start? Is it 7:30?
7:30.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
7:30.
So what are we looking at? Probably 10. It probably ends around 10:30. 10:30.
Good. Yeah, depending upon how many cautions and overtimes you end up with, though.
Yeah. So again, if there's no delays, we're looking 10:30, meaning that whatever you think the race is going to end, like us, we'll be on about a half hour before that. That's it. We're not going to pick a lap. We're just going to pick whenever that is, especially because of the fact that if there's a rain delay for a little while, it could push it to maybe an hour later or an hour and a half later. So anyway, we will try to do our best, maybe even to communicate on X. So that's the best way. Check out our X account. Also links in the description of this video. The best way to follow, because once we have a good idea and maybe the weather forecast looks like it's fine, then I will put out a tweet saying, okay, this is the time. This is when we're going to be on the air doing a live show. And it'll be, again, the last half hour of the race. And then however long it takes, a few minutes after the race, to go over all the playoff spots. And hopefully it'll be a good race to talk about, and we won't have too upset feelings or anything like that regarding a caution that was called with half a lap to go. So we don't want to see that. All right. So anyway, that's the promotion shit out of the way. Let's now talk about what happened last week. And hey, maybe it was because it was one race this year, CJ, but that was actually okay for Richmond. I didn't mind that because it was crazy all weekend. I mean, I came on here on Saturday and I couldn't figure out anything from qualifying to practice. And I even said it. I said, you know what, like this could be a crazy race. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and I think it was nice to see some tire fall off. So it actually made it more competitive. And I'm not sure exactly why that was the case, but probably maybe it's just one time a year that teams aren't used to it, having seen it earlier in the season. So this race wasn't as boring. There's a lot of stuff happening all the way throughout, like you said, and unexpected results. No way I would have thought that Austin Dillon would go back to back at the track and get his redemption. So it was a good story for him as well. Bad news, obviously, for Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece, though. Now they've got to win their way in and only have 1 week to do it.
And maybe bad news for Alex Bowman because he has to sweat it out. So let's pop up the playoff picture right now. And there you go. So once again, it's Bowman sitting there as the last driver in. Is there any way? So like, is there really any way for like, does Reddick only need to like do a certain number of laps in order to get in at plus 89? Seems like that's a lot of points for him to lose and him not be in.
So the difference really where you're looking at with Reddick would be if you have a first time winner and Bowman scores a lot of points. That's about.
Oh, that's right. He's got a, okay. So he's really 29 ahead of Bowman if there's a first time winner. Okay.
Correct. So he's
otherwise, if there's no first time winner, Reddick's fine.
Yeah. He's got to be mindful of Alex Bowman. If there's a first time winner, that's not himself. Otherwise, Reddick's pretty much in, as is Bowman. I mean, if we get another repeat winner, there's no way Buescher or Preece can catch either one of them. So really, it's a win and in, or it's going to be a pretty boring night for those guys.
Yeah. So again, I don't know. I have no idea why. We could just guess of why Richmond was Richmond. Hopefully this is a good sign for next year, because we have to see it more than 1 year where it one race again, and we'll see if we get the same type of outcome. But it was also just very strange to see Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin, the two heavy favorites, did nothing.
Yeah. Very surprising, especially Hamlin. Bell's had his moments, but they haven't been as consistent as Hamlin, and it's very rare that Hamlin is off at a short track, let alone a place like Richmond. I think the 1 year, one race a year, and then that combination of tire wear that was prevalent throughout the night just created some issues. I think that caught a lot of people off guard. A lot of teams weren't able to adapt. There were different strategies. There were a couple of cautions, one big wreck. So I think, again, it just goes to show that tire wear is key. And the more that we can work on creating tire wear at these boring tracks, I think we end up with better races.
And then late, I mean, I kind of understood. Now, first, what did you think about strategy by Preece early on, Preece's team? Because did they overthink it? Because they went with the strategy of, well, maybe we'll be one of the lucky ones that has that extra tire. And if there's a late caution or whatever the case may be, we'll be the ones we'll be one of the few with the fresher tires, considering that they were on the pole and they led everything until they wanted to give it up. Did they overthink it, or was it just a coincidence and they probably wouldn't have been good anyway if they had just followed the normal steps?
I think they would have been better off if they would have followed everyone else. Remains to be seen whether or not they would have been able to keep that pace throughout the rest of the race. But I think they were banking on that extra set of tires really coming into play, and it never did. They just ended up losing too much ground. Once they were behind, they lost track position. Difficult to move forward with track position with poor track position on a short track, and I think that's a trap that they fell into. So yeah, probably overthought it and ended up shooting themselves in the foot, unfortunately, by staying out too long that first time through.
And I kind of understood the strategy by Blaney late. Let Dillon go early, you come later, you get whatever it was, 5 or 10 lap better, fresher tires for a longer green flag run. It didn't happen. He fell off just as much as anybody. And matter of fact, Dillon gained time on him with older tires. So again, I don't think it's the wrong decision by Blaney, but I mean, their team, it's just one of those deals, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on how the car's set up. So some cars are going to handle better as the tire goes away. Some cars are going to handle at their best when the tire is new. And I think just for whatever setup Blaney had in his car ended up taking too much out of the tire too early. And Dylan was a little bit more consistent throughout the whole run. I think that's kind of similar with what we were talking about with the early one. Staying out too long and trying to save that extra set of tires. Again, if you would have made the opposite decision and come in early, perhaps you would have had a better chance. But it remains to be seen. Could have been that they were just too harsh on their tires early on and would have been through every stint throughout the rest of the race as well. So I think that gives the teams a lot to think about when we come back for next year. But at the end of the day, it made it more exciting for us and jumbled up the playoff picture, though not really I guess leaving anything to wonder about this week. So maybe it takes a little bit away from Daytona, other than the chance of getting a first-time winner. But I think it was good for Richmond, and I hope we see those types of races at that place more frequently now.
And I was I didn't understand what was going on with Chris Buescher, because Buescher normally doesn't qualify all that well, and that's no problem. He's done that many times. And I realized that there was a problem when his odds started out after qualifying at 40-1. I was like, why is he 40-1? Something must be wrong. And I just couldn't figure it out. That's where it definitely is useful to have inside information at the track, because something was wrong. Because as soon as the race started, he went backwards. So something happened.
He complained about his car all weekend, and I did a little bit of research on his post-race comments to see exactly if they had pinpointed anything or not. I'd have to check again, but coming out of the car, he just said they were junk pretty much the entire weekend, missed the setup. And when you start behind the 8-ball, especially at a place like Richmond, you start falling back really quickly. Again, Preece, once he lost track position, the ability to work your way forward, Buescher dropped like a rock straight from the beginning. So his ability to compete from unloading on Saturday all the way through the weekend just wasn't there, and he wasn't happy the entire weekend. So they just missed the setup.
And the only thing that was a bummer regarding the race was the fact that for the last, I don't know what it was, the last half hour or so, it just nothing happened. Yeah. There was, it would have been a little bit better, more exciting if there would have been a caution or something to just get that field close again. But we never got that opportunity. And one more thing before we wrap up Richmond, and that is the coverage. I still just don't understand when you have one job to do, and that is you got all week, you got all this information at your fingertips, you're at the track, your former drivers, whoever's on the booth, everybody, you can ask people stuff. I don't understand. I mean, it was like you got no help at all from the booth regarding everything that happened over the weekend, all the craziness that was happening during the race. It was like they were just like us. They were just, they couldn't explain anything to us. And I don't understand how NASCAR can't do better than that. Why is that such a hard thing to do? Is to have solutions to foreseen problems that might occur. I just don't get it. I mean, what are they there for?
The entertainment factor, same thing as Fox at the beginning. The NASCAR has really got and all the networks that carry it really, I think, got a wake-up call through Amazon's 6 race.
Yeah.
That was exceptional. And the difference was they focused on the race. They focused on the strategies. They focused on the technical nature of the races that they had. Whereas with every other one, they're more focused on the entertainment. I think Fox was way more looking for, the laugh track and things like that, and the typical kind of shtick that they do. Whereas now, there's just not that technical background with somebody explaining the strategy. Drivers, their announcers don't get it. Amazon just put everybody to shame in a nutshell. And I think both USA, NBC, as well as Fox need to go back and really rethink how they approach these races, maybe switch some people out, but definitely change their focus in terms of what they're talking about, because there's nothing that explains strategy. There's nothing, other than Larry McReynolds on Fox, that just kind of shows you one specific thing about on the car, that how it works and what change on it. But
same old.
Exactly. That doesn't tell you how drivers are using it and what teams have done that during the race that's making them move forward or fall backward. It just says, here's how this works. And that's about it. It doesn't really connect to what's going on the actual racetrack. And I think that's probably my biggest complaint about it. Just focus on the race, focus on the strategies that are playing out, focus on the competition, and get some expertise, which clearly they don't have at the moment. Or they have it, but they're not bringing it to the broadcast.
Okay, so we have this Daytona race that we've been waiting for all year. The craziness, the parody of it, the luck of the draw, whatever you want to call it. This is going to potentially make a driver like Bowman, really sweat things out. But, either way, again, just fingers crossed. It's a super speedway. We just got to hope that it all works out. And we have a good race. And we don't I forget what was it. I think it was, actually, it happened at the 500 earlier this year when they had the wrecks and they eliminated all the good drivers. It's like, it wasn't very good. And then we got William Byron winning again. So if let's just put this to bed with William Byron. If you picked William Byron to win those two races, because let's say you picked him the first time and he won, and you just picked him again and he won, or just keep picking him. But if you're not that person, then the odds of William Byron winning again is just pretty astronomical in my mind. But he has definitely put himself in position to take advantage of wins. This is what you have to do at super speedways. So let's get into this. And we have 7 next-gen races to go over. And interesting, we have here only 2 winners have started in the top 10. And they were both from the 5th position. One was Byron in the 500. The other was Cindric in the 400. The other positions were 11, 18, 20, 21, 31. So super speedway, you can win from anywhere. But there is a couple of other interesting details. One is the manufacturer situation, CJ, which is the fact that Chevy and Ford in the last 10 races have split 5 wins each. But I left a manufacturer out, and that's Toyota. They have not won since Denny Hamlin back in 2020, the 2020 500. And even though they finished, second, third, fourth, and fifth at the 500 this year, that's still no wins. And then on top of that, for the 400 only, there have been 15 different winners in a row. 15 straight different winners. Now, who's racing in this race? If you want to go with that strategy and you want to go with 16, then that means you cannot pick Buescher, Austin Dillon, Blaney, Byron, Haley, Eric Jones, Stenhouse, and Keselowski. So there you go. That's if you want to go with a 16th straight different winner. And I got to believe that's got to be the most of any race this year, because I don't remember. I've looked at stuff like that almost every week, and I don't see anything like that.
I don't remember it going back that far for sure. I mean, basically top of mind right now is William Byron's got 2 Daytona wins of the last 3. The one that won this race last year was Harrison Burton, and he's not in the series anymore. Toyota hasn't been able to link up and lead laps. They've been having trouble in the draft, nose to tail. We've talked about that a little bit. Ford links up the best, but Chevrolet seems to have the speed. So we'll see if anything changes this week, but I doubt it.
And some of the odds I was looking at were a little strange. So a little hint there for you, if just so you know.
I was thinking about that this morning. I have a prediction as to who might be number 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's see here. All right. Let's go ahead and pop up the odds for the race. Where are we? Let me get it up here. All right. Who do you think is the favorite?
Should be Ryan Blaney. I'm going to guess, though, with his 2 out of the last 3, it's probably going to be William Byron because of finishing in the top 5 at Talladega as well.
Okay. Well, in that case, my friend, you would be wrong on both counts.
Then I have no idea. Hamlin. Logano. I was going to say Logano should be up there because Logano has not been getting his respect that is due because he has been consistently fast, always leading laps, just horribly unlucky in getting caught up in crashes. So Logano, you can always find at the front at Talladega and Daytona. He's been spectacular. I'm glad to see him getting some respect. I don't think that he should be the top choice, though, just because he's been so unlucky. And so
the luck part. Yep. We talk about that, you everybody goes through good luck and bad luck on the super speedways. And right now, Joey's had some bad luck at Daytona lately. Okay. Look who is his co-favorite.
Not surprised.
Look who is third.
That's surprising.
And there's your William Byron.
Interesting. Yeah, that is surprising.
No Ryan Blaney.
That's good for us, right?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, I only understand it a little bit, but I think, again, there are a few things in the odds, like I said, that they're a little, I don't understand what they're going with. But this isn't like last week. See, like last week when I couldn't figure out why Chris Buescher was 40-1, I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know. I mean, now if the odds are weird, they don't know anything. This is just a matter of whether or not they are right or not. And I think there's a few of them that I think they're pretty off on. But that doesn't mean we'll win, but I think there's some opportunities out there. So as far as the 4 drivers, as far as this group here, I'd probably go with the 2 Penske cars at 10-1. Like you said, Logano has been really good here without winning lately. He's got 8 top 5s in his career. He won the 2015 500. And keep in mind, as good as Joey Logano's been here, in 33 races, he's won once. That's how hard it is to win at a super speedway. He has just 2 top 5s in his last 12 with a 20.9 average, but that includes 6 wrecks and 3 in a row. That's what we talked about in a little bit bad luck, but he's led at least 1 lap or more in all 12 of those races and 6 laps or more in 11 of those 12 races. And he was 35th earlier this year. And again, he was involved in that wreck after leading 43 laps. Meanwhile, Cindric has got the 2022 Daytona 500 win, and he's led 13 or more times in 5 of 8 races in his career at Daytona, including the last 3. He also has a win in the Xfinity Series here. He was 8th in the 500 earlier this year, leading 59 laps. So Logano and Cindric, I'm sure they both had a lot of fun early, as they did early on. And Cindric did end 8th. Logano was involved with a wreck, but Cindric ended 8th, leading 16 more laps than Logano. So yeah, I think those are the 2 to go out of these 4.
Without question, Logano over Cindric. Cindric's got the Talladega victory earlier this season as well. Chase Elliott's the one that really stands out to me as being the anomaly. I don't know why he's among the top 4 here. He's never won at Daytona. He does have 3 poles, a handful of runner-up finishes, but the last 3 races, he's finished inside the top 15 twice, another one 36th, and he's only led a combined like 17 laps out of the last 4 Daytona races. So it's not like he has been consistently at the front. And by the way, first DNF of the year last week, and then the week before that was his first finish outside of the top 20 of the season. So he is on a bona fide slump right now. So I don't know that he's necessarily the one that I would be putting in the top 4 favorites here for Daytona, a place he's never won at.
Yeah, it's his worst slump of the year. It's not the time to have it just before the playoffs, but that's what's going on with Elliott. Just 1 top 5 in 7 next-gen races, 15th earlier this year. And then you mentioned with Byron, he's got the 3 wins, but he also has not like dominated in his wins. Matter of fact, if you look at it, he's led a total of 38 laps combined in his 3 wins. That's not a whole lot. He has won, of course, 2 out of 3 races, just so hard to do 3 out of 4 is like unparalleled. So I just don't know if that can happen. That would take a lot of luck. And we'll see. By the way, he has led just 18 laps in 7 NextGen races, with 10 happening this year. Okay. By the way, Nate just wanted to pass this along. He was just doubling down on what you said before.
I would agree, Nate. I think Steve Letarte is the one on USA NBC that we keep. And by the way, I think he was also on the Amazon coverage as well. So definitely use him more. But I think the other 2 networks just need to focus in a little bit more like Amazon was doing.
Okay. So with this foursome, we get some extra points here with Blaney. And like I said, I can understand just a little bit of what their strategy is. And Blaney has statistically better at the other super speedways, but he's got the win in 2021 here. He has 4 top 5s. In the NextGen, he's got 3 top 10s, 1 top 5, but he has wrecked 3 times. The difference is, keep this in mind, and we talked about it at the 500 when he had the 3 wrecks, and it was just he wasn't going well, and it's just not good to take him. Well, what did he do? He had a decent run out of it, finished 7th, led 23 laps. So because of that, I think that's important that he kind of got off the bugaboo there. Otherwise, Keselowski, we all know it's win or you're out. Same thing with Kyle and Stenhouse. So now Stenhouse's odds are, I don't know if I like Ricky Stenhouse at 16-1. He's a good sleeper here, not a favorite, which is almost where he is, right? A favorite. I mean, come on. And in the NextGen, Stenhouse has 5 DNFs, but he has a Daytona 500 win. And we know he's good on a super speedway. We get that, but you're just getting no value here. And then Keselowski, again, getting back to him, he won his 500 in 2016. And in the NextGen, he has 3 top 10s and a runner-up. He was 26th this year, did nothing. So that's a little bit concerning. And he only has 1 top 5 since his win in 2016. That's in his last 17 races at Daytona, just 1 top 5. His average finish, too, in his last 17 races, I think. No, actually, his average finish overall was 22.3. But in his last 17 races, he has 11 DNFs.
I think Stenhouse, exactly like you said, should not be among the favorites. He should be more like a sleeper. If you look at going all the way back to 2017, Stenhouse's career at Daytona, if he didn't win, which he did twice, his best was 13th. So he won 2 of those races, yes, but then outside of that, basically crashed, had some kind of issue, finished down the order, whatever the case may be. So he's very much too aggressive for me to be taking him in the top 10 here. So I'd like to see him much further down at the odds we used to get from him. It's going to be
35-1 in the Daytona 500.
That would be more like what I would expect. Maybe even somewhere in the 20s, even better. But 16, not worth it at this point. Keselowski with the win to get in is going to be interesting because he's usually at the front as well. The difference with him is he's probably not got the I guess he does with Preece and Buescher. They're coming up, but it seems like Cindric, Logano, Blaney seem to team up better than Keselowski. And I think if Keselowski finds himself up front, it's likely going to be with the other Penske guys, and they're probably going to be pulling a little bit more for the Penske guys.
Yeah, that'll help.
So pays to have friends at Daytona. I'm not sure Keselowski is going to have many in the final laps. We'll see. Could be proven wrong. Kyle
and
Busch,
it is a win and you're in. So a little bit extra incentive to help your fellow manufacturers out.
For sure. And if it comes down to it, all 3 Penske guys are in. So maybe that does play to Keselowski's favor. That's a good point that I wasn't thinking about there. But again, he's got to get it all the way to the finish to be in contention there, which is tough for anybody to do. But Keselowski can definitely do it. Kyle Busch, pretty decent here. He ended up finishing second in this race last year, which was a great run, led 8 laps. So it'd be nice to see him run up front. He's usually pretty good at the super speedways, but kind of like Stenhouse, not in terms of the aggression, but in terms of the luck, maybe more like Logano. Seems Busch gets more than his fair share of crashes here at Daytona, ends up getting taken out through some fault not of his own, unfortunately. So he's got to survive and make it through to the end as well. Both of those guys will be racing for the win. Obviously, Blaney is the best choice here. He led 23 laps in the 500. Finished seventh, as you said, and that was ended a streak of 3 Daytona races outside of the top 25 for him. So it seems like he is back on course. And I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what he did at Talladega. Do you have that handy by chance?
Let's see. He was, where's Blaney? He had a incident.
Started ninth. So he had speed there, but ended up having a crash some kind of incident and ended up finishing 37th. So
yeah, he was fourth at Atlanta for what that's worth. Yeah. And also had an incident in the last go at Atlanta. So
Blaney top choice for me. Keselowski, Busch second and third.
Interesting that Kyle Busch started 18-1 earlier today. He was 11-1 at the 500, which I remember we said at the time was a little low. And now he's dropping. He's down to 15-1. So, yeah, you do have to wonder if some of the Stenhouse, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, some of these drivers are a little bit lower with the need to win and you're in kind of deal. I just wonder about that. But anyway, Kyle Busch was 11-1 in the 500. Now he's down to 15-1. So, and look, as you mentioned, comparing with Logano, if you look at it, they're very similar. Logano, 8 top fives, a win, 377 laps. Kyle Busch, 9 top fives, a win, 539 laps. Busch has 7 more races and about 150 laps additional. So again, 2 excellent at the top of their game. If you're looking at the best super speedway drivers, they're part of that. Logano and Kyle Busch, and they both have 1 win. So, okay. Let's now move on to the next group. And Christopher Bell, he's here at 17-1, as is Larson. And Larson's number is a little bit better because it was a little lower than this at the 500. So I think this is okay considering he is starting to slowly be a little bit better. Again, I don't think he should be 17-1 because he's at least put himself in a position now where he's like a lot of other drivers. Before, like 2 years ago, he was absolutely awful and should have been 50-1. Now he's like, yeah, it should be 30-1, 35-1, but you're still getting no value at all with Larson, except if you just want to think of it as these are the best odds you ever get from Larson all season long. But it's not like he's having a good go of it. Matter of fact, in the NextGen at Daytona specifically, he has not had a top 10, and he's only led 19 laps with a 23.7 average, but he has led 5. As a matter of fact, last year, he led 5 laps and 7 laps. So he was up at the front a little bit, mid-race and so forth, but he's not a good super speedway driver. That's the thing you got to keep in mind. He's just not. So when you're thinking about, can Kyle Larson win a race at Daytona at the end when things get really tough and you got to block drivers and you got to decide go up, go down. He can't do that. I'm sorry. He's just not capable. He's just not good at it. So I just can't. He'd have to be really, really fortunate. And I'm sorry, in that situation, I want him to be 50-1, not 17-1. Meanwhile, Bell is a driver that's been solid here. He has 3 third-place finishes in his last 5. He led 20 laps, 22 laps, and 32 laps in 3 of his 11 races when he started 4th, 5th, and 5th. So keep that in mind when we talk about it on Friday night. And then Hamlin and Buescher. Now, here's one of the other situations, my friend, that I think we're getting a big break on. And I have no idea why Denny Hamlin is 20-1. No idea whatsoever. He was 9-1 in the 500 for a reason, because that's Denny Hamlin up there with the best of them at super speedways. He's having a tremendous year. He has 3 wins. They're all 500. So I guess that's the only thing I could look at is, well, it's not the 500. And that's when you really want to take Denny Hamlin, not in these races. And I understand look, remember when we were talking about it with Logano and we said the same thing with Hamlin? He has a little bit of a bad run going on, which I completely understand. He hasn't had a top 10 in NextGen, but he's led 47 laps combined. He's led six or more laps in 5 of 7 races. So that's all good, except the finishes aren't there. So, but keep this in mind. He's only had 3 DNFs in his last 13 races too. So it's not like he's had a whole bunch of wrecks in a row or bad luck. It's just that, yeah, he's going through a spell like a lot of other drivers do, where they're just not lucky on super speedways. I'm okay. I'll talk about that and say I can't go with a driver like that at 9-1, like we talked about earlier this year. But I'm getting double now. Now I'm getting 20-1 with Denny Hamlin. So I have to look at that in a completely different way. Meanwhile, Buescher, who is in a position now where it looks like he may have to win to get in, has got 2023 400 win. So he did win this race 2 years ago. And in his last 5 races at Daytona, he has 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a win. And he was 10th earlier this year from the 6th position. So Chris Buescher is also a pretty decent long shot. Out of these 4, I would definitely go with Hamlin and Buescher.
Buescher, I would put above Hamlin. I'm not convinced that Hamlin's down streak, for lack of a better word, at Daytona is over. If you look at what he did at Talladega earlier this year, he was 21st as well. So not showing huge signs of life. I would go with Christopher Bell over Hamlin because Bell does have a couple of top 5s, 3 third place finishes actually out of the last 5. So for whatever reason, Bell seems to be able to get more out of the Toyota. It's hard to choose a Toyota here. Just
that's true. Yeah, Toyota. Yeah.
They don't work well in the draft together. It's about trying to get into contention for the end, and for whatever reason, Bell is just doing a better job of that. Hamlin, his finishes kind of show me that they have problems throughout the race. Maybe they get a little bit of damage, but are able to overcome it, and that's a sign of a championship team. But he is not in winning contention, so I would definitely put Chris Buescher first, head and shoulders above the rest of them. I'd probably give Christopher Bell over the edge over Denny.
Yeah, with Bell, I guess that's the other thing too, is that, yeah, I mean, they're driving Toyotas. So, but I think we agree. Buescher's the best one out of this group.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. All right. So Bubba is having a nice go of it. He had a really good day early on at Richmond. And what happened to him in that race? Did he have an issue on pit road or something?
Yeah, lost a tire and then ended up having to have, what was it, Chase Briscoe's team, I think, reattach it for him before he got out.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good.
No.
So anyway, Bubba's a pretty good super speedway driver. He has 5 top 5s at Daytona with 3 runner-ups. He had a wreck late in the race at 500 earlier this year, but he did lead 18 laps from the 3rd position. In the 400 last year, he was 6th, led 16 laps from the 18th position. He's got an average finish of 13th in 16 career races. So I think Wallace is not a bad idea, 20-1. I think, there's no way Bubba Wallace should be behind Kyle Larson. Let's just throw that in there. Reddick is 20-1. Suarez, I have no idea what Daniel Suarez is doing down here at 22-1. None. He was 45-1 in the Daytona 500 for a reason. I don't understand this. So again, maybe it's because when you're in, I don't know. Bowman, meanwhile, was 22-1. And I think Bowman's also a good choice, because this is going to be a big question. And I just think the answer is, I just think Bowman's got to go out there and just race. And I don't think he can afford to just be like, because nobody knows when stuff's going to happen. And because of that, I think he's got a shot. He was 6th earlier this year. In the NextGen, he has a 10.4 average finish in 7 races with 2 top 5s. He was runner-up in the 2024 Daytona 500. And that was one of 2 runner-ups in 18 races. And it was also his only 2 top 5s. But again, really good in NextGen here. So out of this group, and by the way, with Reddick, yeah, I didn't really see anything with Reddick, especially since, and again, Wallace, we got to throw in the same thing with the manufacturer and all that. Reddick also has 2 top 5s in 12 races. He has only led 14 laps, though, in 12 races, was runner-up this year. We get it. But, it wasn't like it was one of those things where he had a really great race. He does have one win in the Xfinity Series. So, Reddick's okay. I got no problem if anybody wants to go with Reddick. But again, you got to take into account the manufacturer with Wallace and Reddick. Suarez got no idea what he's doing there. And I think Bowman's not a bad play.
I would definitely put Bowman at the top of the bunch, much more consistent than every other driver that's on the page right now. The only other one that I probably would consider would be Bubba Wallace, because he is on such a good run of form right now. We know that he can win at super speedways, hasn't done it at Daytona yet, but he's been pretty decent throughout his career on these types of tracks. So those would be my two out of this group.
Okay. Yeah, out of this group, Briscoe is not a bad idea. If you look at it, in his first 6 races at Daytona, 23.1 average with 1 top 15. In his last 3, he's got a 9.3 average, 1 top 5 this year, finished 4th pole. And if you go to back 4 races, the 4th race out of the 4, he was on the pole and led 67 laps before he got into trouble, finished 30th. So Briscoe's done really well here in his last 4 races. Now, again, he's with the new team, and Martin Truex Jr. was very good. So you got to take that into account. But at least you're getting 28-1. Ryan Preece, though, I definitely think he's the answer here. I'd be willing to roll the dice, win and you're in deal, because in the next gen, even though he's got a 32.2 average in 5 races, which is not good, what was good before that was pre-next gen. He had 3 top 10s and 6, meaning he can race here if he's got the equipment, the team, and all that. Unfortunately, he did not really do much earlier this year, just like Keselowski. So you do have to wonder if they just didn't have the right setup, or what the situation was. Could have been all bad luck. But I think because it's a lucky type of situation at Daytona and anything could happen, I think Ryan Preece has shown enough signs that he could win this one and surprise people, and it wouldn't be a shock. So I'd probably take Preece before I take any of these other drivers.
I don't disagree with you. Preece, when he was back with JTG Doherty, does have the 3 top 10s, so it proves that he can race at a super speedway. Like you said, he probably hasn't had the luck or the situation with his current team to be able to really demonstrate that again yet, though he did lead 6 laps back in the Daytona 500. So that says something about him being able to get up to the front. It's going to be interesting to see how Josh Berry goes. He is with Wood Brothers. Obviously, they're a Penske affiliate, and they tend to do pretty well. Harrison Burton won this race last year. So thinking, again, you've said it many times this season, but to think Josh Berry would win 2 races this year may be a little bit out of the question, though. Briscoe is not a bad idea. Started on pole, finished 4th in the 500, led 4 laps. And then prior to that, back when he had a Ford, he was pretty consistently inside the top 15. So Briscoe, like Christopher Bell, seems to know how to get to the end of these races. So if despite the fact that he's in a Toyota, he might be capable of a top 10 finish.
Okay. Hocevar, Dylan winning back-to-back weeks, not going to happen. Michael McDowell, Ty Gibbs. Out of this group, you know what? I'd look at Hocevar and McDowell. Hocevar does have an 11th place finish in this race last year. And this year, 10th and 2nd in Atlanta, 6th at Talladega. So he did not finish the race at the 500 this year. So there's that. But I do think there's enough signs there. The only thing is he was 60-1 at the 500. He's down to 35-1 here. Still a pretty good number, though. And then the other one would be McDowell, because McDowell already has a win, the Daytona 500 in 2021. And this year he finished 11th. He led a few laps from the 25th position. And last year in this race, he was involved in a crash, but was on the pole and led 26 laps. So I think there are 2 other win and you're in long shots that probably aren't bad ideas.
Yeah, these would be my two choice picks. You remember Corey LaJoie? We would talk about him whenever we got to Daytona, about his ability to be in contention at the end of the super speedway races. And that's Spire Racing. We talk about the team being able to set up the car and execute throughout an entire race. And that's who Carson Hocevar and Michael McDowell are driving for right now, which is why I think you're seeing the top results. So Hocevar would put ahead of McDowell. Just because he's done it consistently on both tracks. McDowell's been a little bit more hit or miss, though he does have the wins from the past. But Hocevar, for me, would top McDowell at this point.
Yeah, and Gibbs hasn't shown anything. Plus, he's driving a Toyota. Okay, next up. All right, in this group, this is an interesting group because Jones is 50-1. He's got a 400 win back in 2018. He was with Toyota at the time. And in his last 4 races, he's got a 13.7 average at Daytona with 1 top 10. And his last 3 with Toyota, he's got a 12.3 average. He's back with Toyota, including a 12th this year from the 4th position. And Jones does, he's a good super speedway driver. So I think he's solid. And then you've got Gilliland. And how about this? Gilliland had that big race last year, I think it was. So in the 500, he was 18-1, which we thought was crazy at the time. He's back to being 55-1 now, which is back to normal. But now I think he's 55-1. Now we're getting value. He led 16 laps in the 2024 500, which is the reason the odds went down, and 5 laps in this race last year. So his average is not good. He hasn't finished well, but he is a big number. And then you've got Gregson, who we know knows how to race in super speedways from the Xfinity Series. He has a Daytona Xfinity win. He's been okay so far here in the Cup Series, but nothing great. Meanwhile, John Hunter is also a very interesting choice. But the problem with John Hunter and Jones, again, we go back to the Toyotas, that at least now we're getting 50 and 65-1. Because John Hunter, believe it or not, has got a 9.8 average in 5 Cup races at Daytona, finishing 5th, 7th, 11th, and 15th. No laps led. This year he was 5th, best finish, 18th. From the 18th position. And in the Xfinity Series, he's got 3 top 10s out of 6, including a runner-up. So he knows how to drive in super speedways, and you're getting 65-1. So I think all of these drivers have something that's interesting. But I think Jones and John Hunter probably stick out the most because, like I said, even though they're driving a Toyota, it's a big number.
Those definitely have the more consistent results, so I can see why you'd go with that. Gregson would probably be the one that I would choose because he's in a Ford. He's got 2 top 10s at Daytona. And by the way, he's got 3 top 10s this season. One of them was at Talladega when he finished 4th. So he's coming off of a super speedway where he had a really good result as well. So I could see Gregson and the Ford having a good night.
Okay. And let's see. In this group, let's see who sticks out. I mean, I've seen worse at this point. Zane Smith, 65-1. He was 90-1 earlier this year. And he's been okay. I mean, yeah, he had a crash earlier this year, but before that, he finished 13th. And the other 13, 13, 13. And the other 3 races at Daytona. And in the Truck Series, again, it helps that the track. He's got 2 wins in his last 2 trips to Daytona. So that's interesting. Also, AJ, I think, is someone that may not be the worst idea in the world, sitting there at 65-1. In the NextGen, he's finished 6th and 6th in the 500. And in the 400, he's finished 29th and 41st. So that's not what you want to hear, but he has had good moments, including, if you look at it, he's got 6 top 10s in his last 8 since 2017 with 2 top 5s, and he's led 22 laps. And in the Xfinity Series at Daytona, he's got 4 top 5s, including 2 runner-ups in his last 6. So AJ's been making a little bit of noise lately. We've been seeing him more lately than we have all earlier in the season. So he could be a good long shot. And then Ty Dillon, I'm only going to bring him up for 2 reasons. One, he's got a 16.2 average in his last 10 with 5 top 12s and 3 top 6s. And 2, wouldn't it be funny if they went Dylan to get into the playoffs? So why not throw a buck or two on Ty Dillon? But yeah, I think AJ, Zane Smith, Ty Dillon all have interesting things.
I would agree. I'd put AJ top of that because of his top 10 run that you mentioned. Zane Smith, obviously very capable, and he's done some good things at super speedways as well. So those would be my two top choices. But you could have Dillon win back to back. It'd just be the brothers.
Yes, it would. It would be quite hilarious. Here is some more, and this is the last of the four. Haley, of course, knows how to drive super speedways. He won the 2019 400 in his very first Daytona Cup appearance. He's got 2 wins in the Xfinity Series. So, Haley is always an interesting long shot. SVG, it's just not his thing. Austin Hill, boy, this could be interesting because we know how good Austin Hill is on super speedways and Xfinity Series. He's got 3 wins in 8 races at Daytona. He's got 1 win at Talladega. And he's got 5 out of 8 at Atlanta. So he is like the super speedway king in the Xfinity Series. He hasn't been able to translate that yet into NASCAR. He just hasn't had enough opportunities, I guess. And I know he's not making any friends in the Xfinity Series, so I'm not sure exactly who wants to hang out with him here. But out of these 4, I don't know. Is it Haley or is it Austin Hill?
It could be Riley Herbst, too. Herbst is
really?
Super speedways as well. But I think just given his insane success in the other 2 series on these types of tracks, you got to go with Austin Hill. He's just very good at super speedways. I think once he figures it out in this current generation of car, I think he's going to bring it with him again as well. So just give him the time to figure it out, and I think he'll be there.
Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, got papers all over the place. Let's go ahead with our picks. And let me see, who goes first? Is it me?
I think it's you, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Finally found it. Okay. I am going to, you know what? I just think he's on a nice roll right now. I'm just going to go with Blaney.
You're making it really hard for me then. I have to go with Logano. I think Logano stands a very good chance of winning. I just am not happy with him being the favorite. But again, a favorite at a super speedway, still giving you 10-1, so I'll take it.
Okay. I gotta go with a deeper. I can't go with Keselowski. His odds are a little bit too low, so I gotta go with someone around here, I guess. It's either between Buescher or Bowman. I'm going to go with Bowman.
You would think that would leave me Buescher, but I think at my second choice, I'm going to go Preece.
Okay. And I'll go with there's enough deep long shots to choose from. So this will be between Hocevar and AJ Allmendinger, and I am going to take Hocevar.
Hocevar was going to be my choice too.
Oh, I don't know if that's good or not, but okay.
Yeah, usually when we both want somebody, it's not good. Thank you for taking him.
Let you off the hook.
Yeah. Allmendinger. I agree. I think those were the 2 names down at the bottom of the list that I was considering. Hocevar was a clear choice, but since you took him, I will go with Allmendinger. Just too many top 10s consistently recently to ignore.
All right, and Nate has got his prediction here. He thinks we're going to see a new winner getting into the playoffs. So I think he might be right. And based on our predictions, we have 3 out of our 6 new drivers. So, and again, we're not talking about. You can also throw in the fact that we'll have our 16th new driver winning the Coke Zero Sugar 400. So that would be interesting. Maybe that makes a lot of sense to combine new drivers. Maybe the way to go. I'll be back on Friday along with links to the RotoWire report from CJ. So check that out when we do the starting lineup report. And Kevin is going to have his pick and his video is going to come out. And I am also going to start, and we're going to start actually for the playoffs when CJ gets back, and I'll start it without him. I'm going to start implementing matchups more. So I think that's something that I know viewers want to see more of. So we're going to try to do probably pick like a matchup of the week. CJ will give one, I'll give one. Kevin already does his each week, so we'll start getting on top of that. But again, CJ is going to be out for the next 2 weeks. But next week, when I do the playoff preview show at this time, 4:00 Tuesday, CJ is going to put a video together, and then he's going to give his picks, and then of course I'll do mine live. So CJ, one more thing, I guess I'll let you close it out before you take off, and of course we'll hopefully see each other on Saturday night, fingers crossed, weather permitting.
Yeah, scattered storms, thunderstorms, afternoon to evening. So typical Florida weather, about a 50% chance from what I saw. But yeah, hoping we can pull it out. Thank you all. I'll be back in 2 more weeks. Enjoy Darlington. That's the one I'm really going to miss seeing. And then I'll be back just in time for Gateway. Can't wait.
Okay, exciting. So thanks once again for checking us out here at Proline TV. We'll see everybody again with CJ in a couple of weeks. I'll see you guys on Friday, and then we'll have our playoff preview special, same time next Tuesday, right here on Proline.